thing. So I had two choices when I was starting this meeting, either have a passcode or let people in. As we were going last week, I found it very distracting letting people in. So I decided to do the passcode, which may be causing the problem today. But if you don't mind going to the top right-hand corner and renaming your code. So Reed is KNAB, Tracy's NAKB. Do you want, I'll rename you. NAKB.
NAKB is me, Tracy.
And Haley is ANKB, I'm pretty sure. Is that right, Haley?
I think I'm nurturing first.
NAKB.
Yeah,
Okay.
that sounds right.
And Gabriella, what are you? I think she
Sorry,
was.
I forgot. I'm looking for it.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to start today. My name's Jane Johnston. I'm a realtor with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosun. I've been in real estate for 15 years. I used to be a high school teacher and university professor. I got into real estate because I had a bad realtor. And throughout my real estate career, what I've done is set my goal to look at people who were successful and emulate their success. And then over the time, I've created my own strategies. I've looked at what's worked, what hasn't worked. And then I basically blueprinted my marketing strategy from beginning to end so that I could be successful in real estate. And what's happened is at the end of 15 years now, I'm in the top 100 of Remax of Western Canada. I'm the top selling agent right now in my company, individual company. And I have a life aside from real estate. And I do this through marketing through a variety of methods I'm going to go over today. I'm going to give you 10 strategies for how to be successful and how to create community. And that's probably the best thing that's, if I were to say one thing that my approach follows, it is to create a community and to be a leader in that community. And with people looking at you in that role, you will be very successful in how you conduct your business. Okay. So let's share the screen and okay, which screen are you seeing? The big one or the next slide one?
Both. Next slide.
Okay.
I think we're seeing the presenter view.
Is that better? Can you see
Yeah.
the
Yep.
full one?
Now
That's it.
That's right. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. So we're going to be focusing on getting more leads for your business. And right now, obviously, with the lack of inventory, we're going to focus on getting listings. And you always want to get listings because that way you control the market. Buyers are and buyer agents are responding to the market. Listing agents are controlling the market because you're controlling the inventory. And one thing that's different about real estate compared to any other business is that you don't have to pay really for your inventory other than maybe your listing fees and your marketing fees. So I don't spend much money on marketing at all. And the way I approach listings is I market to two groups of people. One is to buyers, and I do that through my listing and my videos in my listing, as well as my write-up. And the other is I market to realtors. And in fact, I spend more money marketing to other realtors because if I market to the realtors bring in the buyers. So every time I work with a client, during the process, I take a picture of the client and either in a funny position like this top group here who decided every house that we went into, they would actually step into the bathtub to see if they fit it together. And actually they ended up buying this house. So, and I asked for a testimonial. The reason for that is because it gives people social proof. If I have a picture, when I first got into real estate, we used to advertise in this real estate magazine, and it would be a listing. And then I would put the listing up and it would go out on Monday and it would come into the paper on Thursday. And then maybe it would be sold by then. And so it was always out of date. But this is a kind of evergreen content. And the thing is that if it comes from the words, from the mouth of your clients, it's authentic, and people love authentic, and people do business with who they know, like, and trust. So each of these, either I'm working with a buyer or seller. So when I'm advertising them, I do put them in the newspaper. I say that they're either with a seller or a buyer, and I also say what area they're with, and then the picture, and then it has the quote. And often in the newspaper, it's a shorter version of this quote, but on my website, you'll see we have hundreds of these. And what this does is it provides people with proof that people were happy because they were willing to put their picture up with the testimonial. So on your website, in a paper-based format, and then on your social media is where these go. The second thing I do is on my social media is I put the picture and I put the long form of the testimonial and I tag these clients. And the reason why I do that is because it shows up every year and then I can celebrate their success. So this lady on the left, she and her husband bought a house with a suite in it. And she tagged me in her post. And then the second one was this lady who sold her condo. I've tagged her. So that way in a year in Facebook, it's going to show up again. And I'm going to say, happy anniversary and stuff like that. And every time I'm tagging somebody else, not only am I reaching my friends, I'm also reaching her friends. So it's a way of, if you look at a Venn diagram of our circles overlapping. We also look at creating win-win-win campaigns. So it has to be a win for the community. It has to be a win for the person with whom I'm doing the business, and it has to be a win for me. And every campaign has the three-pronged approach. So this is a campaign I did at Christmas time. Originally, I'll just go back one slide. Originally, I was going to have everybody come to a park, but because of COVID, we actually weren't allowed to do any social gatherings. And Gabriella, most clients don't want pictures. It depends on the client. And you have to be comfortable asking for it as well. So initially I wasn't comfortable asking for it, but I can talk to you about how to do that. And often, actually, if somebody is coming to the community, when I put it in the newspaper, I may welcome them to the community so that people could keep an eye out for them. That's if they want to do that. If they don't want their picture, then I can do a picture of the house. So that works for them as well. What was I going to say? So you have to be careful, actually, when you're doing your social media or anything, you have to get permission, first of all, from your clients to get the picture, but also you have to understand what your mindset is, and that maybe you don't like the picture, or you don't like the idea, and so you're uncomfortable with it. A lot of people were like this with video, and now they're changing their strategy over time. So the campaign that I did over Christmas, we were going to do originally something where people came to a park and we were going to have Santa Claus, and he celebrated here in Victoria. And then we were trying to figure out, because Santa is elderly. And so we were like, okay, well, maybe we could have Santa in behind. And then I talked to Santa. Santa wasn't happy about that at all. So we had to can Santa. And we thought, okay, well, how can we get people comfortable with getting something that celebrates them being at home? So we created a campaign called Home for the Holidays. We got 21 clients signed up for it. And what I did was I set up a tour. I hired a client of mine who was new to the business in Victoria. She is a photographer, and I gave her a day rate, and it cost me $500. So she's thrilled to get the business. and I'm introducing her to the clients. All the clients got one picture as a result, and then I filmed the process, and then we created the following result. So that's Michelle. And all my clients decided they wanted to dress up, which surprised me. This person wanted a record that it was a COVID Christmas. And they ended up using these branded for their own Christmas cards. And it was a great way to meet people. I often don't see people at their houses after.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Merry Christmas.
So these guys all, so we put together the slideshow at the end, and they all did shout outs on their own social media. And this is free marketing. It was so positive. And really, we created lemonade out of a lemon. So the next thing is just being a leader in the community. So often what I do is I post information about what's happening in the community, and it's without any sort of opinion about what's happening. It's more about just being informational. So I do this through a podcast I created called Vancouver Island Time, and I interview local entrepreneurs. I talk about where they live, the neighborhood that they live in, and what they do for a living. And I found this gives the entrepreneur a shout out in the community. So they end up putting it on their site. I put it, sorry, there's a drill going on in the background. They end up putting it on their site. We put it on YouTube. And then whenever somebody is interested in a property, and they want to know about the neighborhood, I just flipped them the video from that neighborhood. And it was super easy to do this, guys. I literally used my iPhone. I had a mic that I got, and I just brought my tripod, and we filmed it. And my assistant literally put a beginning and an end in it. And I get so much business, like probably $200,000 worth of business just from using the podcast. And why this works is because the person who is in the podcast, the entrepreneur, does not have a vested interest in selling property. They just want to talk about how much they love their neighborhood. And this has really cemented me as a neighborhood specialist all over the city. The other thing is, if you want to do a podcast, is that it doesn't have to be about real estate. It can be about whatever is your passion. So if you're a parent, or perhaps, you like the outdoors, you're an adventurer, or you are like an entomologist or whatever, this can be a way of showing your passion, and people just follow you for the sake of following you. And so these guys, Jer and Jeff, they actually have 2 different podcasts. One is called the New West Guys, and they talk about real estate in New Westminster and Richmond, BC. which is a suburb of Vancouver. And then they also do Eat New West, and they go to local places and they review the food, and they love food, and you can tell, and they're just short videos. And when you start doing these, I have to tell you, they're not going to be perfect. Like my first few videos that I did for my podcast are actually pretty crappy, but as they went on, you get your rhythm. And I think the thing is, it's kind of like, learning to walk. When you take your first steps, you may look a bit like off balance, but as you get more and more comfortable, you start to begin to get your rhythm, and you find that you naturally start to remember to do the things that worked well the last time. Another thing that I do, and I sound really busy, but I start these things off, and I have an assistant who's high blueprint, and she follows through on a lot of these things for me. So I do the frontline stuff. She does the back end. And the secret is to just focus on what you're good at, and to have people who are good at task-oriented, repetitive things to support you. So I do community pages. One is I'm very involved in is called I Love Esquimalt. And this is just an area of the city that I've always considered to be undervalued. And I started this group up from nothing. I have 238 members as of today. We talk about what local events are happening, and the mayor of Esquimalt often shares those events out to her own page. And then I also created an emergency pod for my little neighborhood here. And I have 78 members, and those are people who move into the area. And so I don't focus anything on real estate on either one of these. And I talk about like fire safety, and I talk about, there's a strange man on the corner. What was he doing there? Sort of thing. And there's a dog barking. Welcome, and we welcome people in. And this has been a really positive thing for our neighborhood, especially during COVID. And then finally, I'm involved in lots of Facebook groups, Remax ones. If you're going to join and you're interested in social media, Remax Creative is an awesome page, a group. And then I'm trying to think. What I've done also is set up a Remax preferred realtor group across North America, where I have a realtor in specific cities. It's actually focused just on Canada, and we do lots of referral business between each other. And the reason why those work, the reason why any of these work, is because if you show up and you're not talking about yourself, but you're talking about the community, then people will do business with you because they know you're not in it for you, you're in it for them. So again, focusing, like when you go to a party and you meet somebody and they say, hi, my name's Jane, I'm a realtor. Would you like to sell your house? They're going to be completely turned off. But if you go to them and you go, hi, my name's Jane. What's your business? How can I help you? This is a great example on the left. So this is a lady who operates a small restaurant. It's right across from the rowing club where we go every day. And she was really, really suffering. And so what I would do is go and eat lunch at her cafe. And then I would take a picture of my lunch and post it on social media. And she would get business from it. And the person in the middle, she was selling little cards that are positive statement cards. So I'm promoting her, and she's part of a group, and I put that in the group as well. And so this lady now has recommended somebody to list with me. And the person on the right, this person she was one of the first people to make masks in Victoria, and I interviewed her, and you can see she's also being interviewed by CBC, and she put me on the same page as CBC, which is our national broadcasting corporation interview. So both of those, and I'm like bigger than that other ad that she put up. So it's just a question of if you focus on doing things and serving people, then they're gonna look to you when they need something as well, or somebody needs real estate. Finally, over the past year, I've been, I was kind of doing Monday morning market updates, and I was so sick and tired of listening to myself talk. What I did was I asked a friend of mine who's very different from me to come and be on Monday morning podcast with me, and his name's Andrew, and he works with a different company, and we created this podcast called He Said, She Said, They Said. And we just do a market update and talk about what's going on, and whatever we can get a guest, we bring the guest on. This again is just live on Facebook, and we use a program called StreamYard, and we do it Monday mornings. We're very consistent at 10 a.m. and we're starting to get people who are showing up consistently and asking questions. And ironically, I get a lot of realtors who are wanting to know how to be a great realtor coming and following me on that program as well. I put those then on YouTube, and you can see down below, there's a whole bunch of YouTube channels, YouTube shows that I've gotten, and I've organized them in streams, and I can walk you through how I do all of this if you're interested. And then the final thing I do to show up as an expert is I get my RE/MAX preferred agents across Canada onto a market update, and we talk about the different areas and what's happening in real estate, because people are often moving within Canada, and we're a destination place where I am. And so I want to attract them to my business. So I invite these agents on, they do the update, and then I give them a checklist of how to promote the show on their own social media, which they're not very good at yet. But what happens is when people see that show, they see that that person's the expert because I'm tagging them on social media. They see that I'm the expert in Victoria and that there's a trusting relationship. And so I get referrals from that. So talking about listings and how you're showing up, I'm a certified trainer with Codebreaker Technology, and one of the things that I really focus on is making sure that my listings appeal to people of various personality types. And so I have a marketing campaign that goes out. I have my knowledge posts, I have my nurturing posts, I have my action posts, I have my blueprint posts. And for those that were there last week, you understand what the 4 codes are. When I'm doing a listing, I'm also going to make sure that my listing is well-rounded and that it focuses on attracting those 4 codes as well. So I've gone in and I've looked at listings. These are listings that are on right now from different realtors. And I know these realtors. I've just taken a picture and analyzed the way that their listings are showing up. And what it's showing me is, so this very nurturing realtor has written a very nurturing post about his listing here, and he's really only going to attract a nurturing type of client. So it's about lifestyle, which is great, but we really want to attract a high action person who's going to want to live there and make a quick decision. High action people are generally quick decision makers. So doing this, I see that he's a 1.7 in nurturing, he's a 0.64 in action, and 0.42 in blueprint, and has actually no knowledge components in his description. So somebody who's looking for a lot of information about the property won't be satisfied with this listing. Same thing with this listing, another nurturing realtor. And this is very, very common. Realtors are often nurturing or action, but they tend to write their posts in a high nurturing manner, which means that they're not going to attract a qualified buyer in that personality type. And then this is another listing that just came up. This realtor is very well-rounded. He's written a really good post here. You can see the description has all 4 codes in it, and it's well-rounded. And so he's going to attract a more wide variety of audience to his listing. And finally, this realtor, this is a very successful realtor. He serves a high-end clientele, and he's very high action. He actually does his own podcast about driving in fast cars around Victoria. and that's going to attract his own specific clientele, but he's written here to attract that clientele as well with a listing with high action. So how you're showing up in your listing description is going to affect who's going to be buying the property and attracted to that property. So when you're working with these different codes, you can, once you figure out what your client's needs are, so a lot of us today are high nurturers. So we want them to know what we do for the community. We want them to know that we donate a little bit of money from every transaction to the Children's Miracle Network. And we want to be authentic with them and listen to them, what their needs are, and care about them, and really respond rather than interrupt them when they're chatting. If we have a blueprint client, so if they're coming in and we haven't met them yet, we know their blueprint, what we're going to do is talk about the process. And I'll show you that right now. So I have a high blueprint client right now. And I'm just going to cut off his. So with my high blueprint client, I have an accepted offers next step checklist, which gives him a list of all the next steps that he needs to do to get through the offer, when the due dates are, what the deposit is, how to do it. And so he understands everything that is required from him from now on until he takes possession. I've also given him a recommendation of lawyers. And what I find with blueprints is if I can tell them what to predict next, what's going to happen next, and often people in their stress code are going to be blueprint or knowledge, then I'm going to be able to provide them with the information so that they understand when they get to the problem, they're not going to be totally flipped out by it. So part of real estate is just managing people through the process, I find. So for people who are high action, they want to get to the point quickly. They love it when you speak quickly, don't give them all the details. You know, probably for action people, this is too much detail. They might be overwhelmed by it all. A blueprint person would like the fact that they've outlined all the steps, and a knowledge person will want to know, you know, for every post that I'm doing, what kind of interaction am I getting for that? They love the statistics. So by tagging people on the posts, what I'm doing is I'm getting a lot of engagement in my posts. And so when I post 80% about lifestyle in Victoria, about, you know, my personal stuff with my family, I post stuff about what's happening with the community, and I talk about other people in my posts. And then every once in a while, so 10 to 20%, I'm posting about just me and or my listing. And what happens is for those, I get a lot of engagement. And every once in a while, you can fool around with the engagement sort of, what's the word? Algorithm. And you can post, and you could try this right now, Brussels sprouts, yes or no, and you're going to get a very strong response. And so for this particular post I did, I got 136 comments. And these are people that, because the post was getting a lot of response, then it starts showing up on more and more people's Facebook pages. And then I get more and more engagement. So Facebook and Instagram reward you, which is why you want to be using the tags, because people are searching tags and interested in tags. Haley did it with sardines. Yes. So you want to do these every once in a while. They're just fun. And that way, like you could say something like sardines on pizza, yes or no. And you're going to get like a very definite response. And it sounds silly, but what happens is because you're fooling with the algorithm, then your next posts that you're going to do are going to get more engagement. So my final little bonus tip is, you know, always show up with integrity. Really be thoughtful with the way that you're posting. Always look for the win, win, win. And when you post your awards, I mean, real estate, especially in the spring, we get lots of awards, and I want to show people that I'm successful because I want to attract an action type personality because I'm high action, but I also can choose the way that I show up. And so rather than show my award, I usually send out some sort of thank you. And I find that I get a much better engagement on these types of posts than I do from showing my award, because I'm thanking them rather than talking about myself. So you really, at the beginning of this, I was talking about keeping my eye on the prize, looking at somebody who's successful and emulating them, and hanging out with people who are successful, and realizing that sometimes that glass ceiling is something that I'm putting on myself. And that was a very important lesson for me. So, I am 80% of the way to my goal this year to make $1 million in real estate, and I'm going to get it. And 2 years ago, I could barely crack 500,000. And 5 years before that, I could barely crack 250,000. And so I am a great example of how using this program, the year that I started using bank, my transactions went from 35 transactions to 67. And that's when I broke through my glass ceiling. So I'm inviting you, if you want to work with me, to follow me on social media. You can just type in Jane Johnston or Briar Hill Group. And I would invite you also to sign up for the Kickstarter to learn about this program, to see how you can start using the artificial intelligence that I was talking about with the 4 codes in your social media so that you can attract your ideal client. And if you're interested, I'm also doing coaching in September, and it's a 12-week program. And I've taken this program twice, and every time I've taken it, my business has just blown up because in a good way. So any questions? Gabriella.
Yes, the coaching program sounds really interesting. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
So it's me and 4 other coaches. I'll be focusing on the real estate applications. We go through 6 intelligences. So the first one is we talk about the personality intelligence, the business intelligence, the emotional intelligence, and 3 other intelligences. And then we apply it to our business. So we do 1 week of the coaching, and then the next week, we're 1 week where we talk about the intelligence. And then the next week we follow up and we apply it. And we have a workbook that we follow with that. And you go through the workbook with us. And we, by the end, you'll have a business plan. You'll identify your ideal avatar or client who you want to work with. And then we'll come up with a marketing plan of how you're going to apply it. So it's actually a good time to start in September, because in January is when you want to plan in the fall for a January start. So, and the cost for the program itself is $14.99. That's US. That's $1,499 for a 12-week program. And I would say for me, the results I got were exponential over that. You do have to pay, I'm sorry, a monthly fee. I know you don't like the monthly fee. I've been thinking of a way around that. And the thing is that's going to be the thing you're going to stick with in the long run, the monthly program, because that's, if you use that, it's an invaluable tool.
Okay.
Tracy or Reed, do you have any questions?
No, thank you, Jane. That was really terrific. This is actually the second time now that I've seen this webinar, and I just, I get a lot out of it. I think it's really good. And personally, having been through the coaching program and also been a part of it, from my perspective, it's really powerful way to integrate more fully into everything that you're doing, the actions you're taking consistently on a daily basis. So thank you so much.
Yeah, and I would also say, like, if you're a fan of in real estate of Tom Ferry or Brian Buffini or Richard Robbins, what it does is it takes all of that and applies the artificial intelligence and the 6 intelligences together and magnifies it. So Brian Buffini, you'll see after you take the program, you'll be like, oh, he is a very high blueprint. He's all about the process and following through and doing things the same way for everybody. And he talks a lot about Popeyes. Some people don't like Popeyes. I don't like Popeyes because blueprint is my very lowest code. And if you, if you do the same thing over and over and over again, like I was a high school teacher, I got bored. I need variety. So the thing is adapting your artificial intelligence so that you can apply it to your ideal marketing.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Yeah, and attract your ideal clients. And actually what happens is then the business honestly just flows to you, which is just so powerful. Like now, I get calls from people all the time because when I finish with a client, they say to me, you understood me so well, I'm going to recommend you to everybody. And then I get a client who's maybe exactly like them and it's super easy, or I get another client who's very different, but I know how to handle them well. So, Haley, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I just had an aha moment, I think, because for those of you who don't know, I'm actually based in Vienna. I'm responsible for training for Remax Europe. And, I've been on tour with Richard Robbins. I'm very familiar with Tom Ferry's trainings and not so much with Brian Buffini, although we're going to be doing something with him this year, or maybe it'll be launched next year. And I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, if you say Brian Buffini is a high blueprint, I'm like, okay, well then Richard Robbins is a nurturer and Tom Ferry is an action. I'm just like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense that certain people are drawn to certain coaches. So it's an interesting aha moment for me.
Yeah, and what, the thing is understanding that you can take the best of each of these programs and apply it to your own business. So I was actually on a call earlier with Haley this morning, and my social media is planned, you guys. Like it's not, I don't just pull it out of the air. So Monday mornings, we have our knowledge with our podcast. Tuesday, we have our testimonial that goes out. Wednesday, we have an information post that goes out. Friday, we have a fun post. It's usually about like which kitchen do you like better? And these are just the backbone. And we have a marketing calendar in Gmail that my assistant follows, and she does the backbone, and then I do the extra stuff. So definitely, if you're with Remax, sign up for the creative page, Remax creative page. Make sure Remax is showing up in your social media page. And if you're interested, I can do a social media audit of your social media so that you understand how you're showing up in front of people. Okay. Any other questions?
I just had a quick question, another one about the coaching program. I just want to make sure that I understood it correctly. So it's going to be you and a few other bank certified coaches that would be sort of following everybody over the 12-month period, focusing in on specific intelligences. Do I get it right?
12 weeks. So it's
Oh,
6
12
intelligence.
weeks.
Yeah.
I thought 12 months. I was like, wow, that's really
Yeah.
okay. Got it.
Yeah. And so if it starts mid-September and then it'll end mid-December.
And is it real estate driven, or I mean, theoretically, you can apply bank right to any business, right? But is this one going to be real estate driven?
Primarily. So the information that's going to be presented by the coaches will be specialists in each of the intelligences. And then I do the personality intelligence or sales intelligence. And then we have next week, we have the seminar after it. So we have the introduction. You're given the map book. This is very blueprinty. And you follow through. You show up at the meeting with us online. It's a Zoom call. And then we talk about applying it. So I would be focusing at that point on where it applies to real estate. Yeah. Because you want the base of knowledge and the application.
Got it. Thanks so much.
Okay. Gabriella.
So would you be present in all 12 or just the ones that pertain to you?
No, I'd be present in all 12.
Okay.
Yeah. And these guys are really good who I work with. They're awesome. Okay.
Last thing, because I'm in an international location, the workbook is a PDF or is it a physical workbook?
It's a PDF.
Okay, great.
Yeah. And actually I used my iPad to do it when I did it. So I wrote on it. Really helpful.
Okay.
Okay, Adana.
Hi, Jane. As you know, I just got in to your call. So I would like to know if there's anywhere I can go online to read up on what you discussed today.
Sure. And if you want, you guys, I can send you a copy of the presentation. Would that be helpful?
Yeah, that would be fantastic. I would appreciate that very much.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd
and-
like one too. That'd be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. And then I'll send you a link on how to sign up for the program too. Okay. So that'll give you, Adana, the background info. Okay. I just want to respect everybody's time and be blueprinty. And what I recommend is if you have a team, get your team members on with this as well, because I think it'll be a valuable experience for everybody to integrate all the ideas together. Okay.
Have the times been planned for the
presentation times, I believe they're going to be at 11 a.m. Pacific.
Excellent. Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, talk to you guys later. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, I'm just gonna post this. Let me just find it. Where am I? I've got two screens going here. So if you haven't cracked your code, please do so. Also, I'm gonna be following up in my Facebook group. So, oops. I would love for you guys to join the Facebook group, and that'll just keep you up to date with what's going on, okay? Some of you are already in it. Anyway, Kickstarter will get you started and will give you a good overview of the values as well as sales and interpersonally. And then the value-based leadership Facebook group is free, and I'll be focusing once a week on sales tips and helping you be more effective. And if you want your free report, please go to crackmycode.com/values. Okay. And I'll reach out anytime. Okay, you guys? All right. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jane.
Thank you. See you later.
Cheers.
Cheers.